Broadcasting from Millvale Studios, you are listening to Funny Money on the River's Edge Network. I'm your host, Tom Henry, and with us is our producer, Brian Crawford, also the manager and CEO and president of the whole River's Edge Network.
I'm back.
So it's great to have you
Can't
again.
escape me.
So tonight we're going to be talking about, two Black Friday favorites, The Gap and Urban Outfitters. I think part of the reason why I wanted to bring them up is because of their recent quarterly reports, which were both disappointing, and because I want you to think about, what is it that would draw you into one of these stores, and is it a stylistic thing, or is it their marketing or what, and whether this stock is a good buy or not. So, and those are questions I don't really have the answer to. But I'm going to tell you a lot about these stocks. So you've got information on the background of them, and they're both interesting stories. Now, I want to start out with The Gap. The Gap, this is a stock that I have owned in the past, but do not currently own. And I do believe it was a profitable trade. But I sold it back in 2014, maybe. So my sources on this are, for the background, are Wikipedia and the Wall Street Journal website, which is WSJ.com.
That's like a really big jump. I guess we're filling in the gap between Wall Street and Wiki, because that's like, Wall Street, known across the world. Everybody's right. Holds them up in such high esteem, and then Wikipedia, which is actually a pretty decent source, and all of their stuff
across the world too.
It's all cited, but you go to a college and the professors look down Wikipedia.
Right, because it's an amalgamation of different individual readers who put that information in there.
I've tried to edit Wikipedia, and the thing is not to get off topic too much, but people act like it's so easy to change Wikipedia and just put in whatever you want. But I tried to put in, back when I ran the Relay for Life, I tried to put in our Relay for Life in there, and it was legitimate information, and they kicked that out. So it's not as easy as people think.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never tried, so I can't speak to that. But I'll talk to you about what I learned in Wikipedia from about The Gap. Okay, Donald Fisher, born in 1928 in San Francisco to Eileen and Sidney Fisher. Sidney was a cabinet maker, was the eldest of three sons. He grew up in the then middle-class Sea Cliff neighborhood. We say then middle-class because now it's like you have to be super rich to live there. But in 1928, 1930, it was actually middle class. All right. And I'm sure it got even less than middle class as the 30s wore on. He eventually attended UC Berkeley, which is a great school, where he graduated with a BS in Business Administration in 1951. And after school, he served as an officer in the U.S. Naval Reserve. That's kind of a common theme among these CEOs or these entrepreneurs. They often have some sort of military background, I've noticed.
Wonder why that is, because you don't see that nowadays, do you?
Well, it's just anecdotal evidence. No, I would agree. Now you see the more recent ones are Stanford grads, less so from the military. But who's to say? So, after school, he served as an officer. Also, another point about that is that a lot of these guys in the past were born during times of war, or they came of age during times of war, so it was much more common to be in the service. He then worked for his father right after, in addition to being in the reserve, as a cabinet maker, like his father, for L&E Inc. Incorporated, which is a mill and cabinet making firm created by his great-grandfather that his mother inherited after her father died. Okay, and then her husband went to work for that. In the 1960s, Fisher started his own business renovating hotels. So that kind of follows the cabinet making theme in that he makes awesome furniture and he can renovate hotels with it. Okay, he was able to earn enough with his business to buy his own hotel. Okay, so it was like the way I see it is, he's renovating these hotels. His business is cabinet making, but he's expanded to like other furniture and everything. And then he gets involved with hotels for a few years, and then he's interested in hotels. Okay, so he's obviously got like a forward-thinking mind. Okay, so his own hotel was the Capitol Park Hotel in Sacramento. And in the lobby, all right, there was some retail space, and the best lease he could get was Levi Strauss, who opened up a showroom there. And that actually happened to be very fortuitous, because one time he was at a department store, and he was trying to return a pair of Levi's jeans, and it was completely unsuccessful, and they didn't because they didn't fit, and so. He noticed at that point that most department stores only carried a limited selection of Levi's jeans, and suggested to Levi's, who was right down there in his hotel in the showroom, that was like the corporate people. They were showing the product, not a store. That they needed a store that would carry all their sizes and styles in one store.
Yeah, especially because this is pre-internet, so you couldn't order a wide variety online.
Right. Now it's so easy. All right, so that concept was accepted by Levi's. And Fisher and his wife Doris opened their first store named The Gap, after the generation gap.
Ah.
Okay? So
Clever.
the store sold Levi's jeans as well. Remember, this is like, okay, we're talking like in the 60s, all right, or 70s. Mm-hmm. I think it was the late 60s. Okay. So the Gap, after the generation gap, and the store sold Levi's jeans as well as records and tapes in order to capture the 12 to 25-year-old target market. Now, in 1972, the Fishers launched the Gap label. So, instead of being Levi's, they became the Gap jeans.
Ah.
All right. Well, not they weren't. They were still carrying Levi's, but they would make Gap khakis and stuff like that.
Okay.
All right.
But what you're saying from this is that they've always targeted a younger group,
Yes,
correct? Because
yes.
they still do, right? So
They still do, but others have wedged their way into like that group more. I think now the Gap is more like 20 to 35 or something. It's a little different.
yeah, but they're still trying to be younger to a point, right? They're
Correct.
Not, yeah.
Correct. But okay, so 72 they launched the Gap label, becoming the first chain in retail history to use its store name as the brand name.
Oh.
Which is interesting. The Gap was a resounding success, and they filed for an IPO in 1973. So, you can see very quickly they reached paramount success. Mm-hmm. Then they went on to purchase Banana Republic, which was a small two-store mail-order catalog.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And but that was like in the late 70s. And then they founded Old Navy in the 80s, and that reached $1 billion in sales in 4 years.
Yeah, that really blew up.
Yeah. But see, Old Navy, you wonder if it's cannibalistic, because what they're trying to do is like, okay, Old Navy is the lower end, right? And the Banana Republic is the higher end, and the Gap is in the middle. So does that take some away from the Gap? Probably, yeah. Okay, Fisher served as a CEO until 1995, chairman of the board until 2004, and director and chairman emeritus until his death in 2009 at age 81. Looking at the Gap today, okay, they've got some issues. You know, are they sort of tired stylistically? That's a lot of criticism that I've heard about it. The PE is 15.64. The dividend is 3.52%. Quite nice. The ROIC over the last 1 year was 22.52%. Okay, so on a value basis, this looks very good because you see the ROIC is well ahead of the PE. I love to see that. And the dividend is nice and high. Very good. Net debt to equity, only 8%. Very minor, very small, almost no debt. So
Well, that's good.
I like that a lot. Now, here's the problem. Can they generate sales with the kind of clothes they sell? Because sales have been down. And the earnings are expected to decrease for 2016, which ends actually February 2017, their fiscal year. Those are expected to be down 13% from their fiscal 2015. So that's not good.
No.
Also, another bad sign is they're closing 65 stores
Wow.
in 2016 due to the sales slump. Okay, in this last quarter, which was bad, the Gap and Banana Republic, their sales were down 8% from a year ago. But Old Navy was up 3%. All right, now, but the profit margins at Old Navy are less.
Yeah.
So you've got to realize that the thing that these guys are going up against is Amazon and others like it. You know, they suddenly with the dawn of the internet era, these brick and mortar stores aren't doing so well.
But at least they are forward thinking, right? They're not waiting till the end of time like Kmart,
Yeah.
Sears, like Sears Holdings, where now they're closing down everything, whereas before
right.
they didn't close down anything.
Right, they're smart, but at least also their website is pretty good. You know, I went on there today, fiddled around, saw some stuff I might buy, and I thought it was pretty good. You know, you can try on it. You know, it's not that different than a lot of other sites, but I think that it's a good one, and that having some presence in the malls does give them some advantage because there are always those like last minute shoppers who don't want stuff sold to you. You know, like they don't want to have to wait for shipping
Well, I think
when it comes to Christmas purchases and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this quarter surprised to the upside. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for a surprise.
Well, I mean, do you think eventually there's going to be a rebound effect where everyone's moving online, and do you think
Do they
eventually?
get annoyed by it?
Well, like I'm not an online shopper. I'm just not going to do it
Yeah, really?
personally. I'm not. No, I don't buy anything online. I buy everything in the store, and I know that that's financially not maybe the best decision, but I like to just go in and see what I'm buying and
Is that
hold
because
it-
you like to try it on? Or are we talking about clothes?
anything, really,
Anything.
anything.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't buy
But
anything.
with clothes, do you try
online.
them on?
No, not really.
So you could buy it online just as easily.
I could, but I just don't, and I don't want to.
I'm going to say you're an exception in that regard. But so to me, Gap is a question mark. You know, it definitely looks like good value, but I don't get a good vibe from the way that their stores are closing, the way that they kind of feel like they're getting eaten up by online alive. So I give it a caution flag. I would say hold neutral. I'm not negative on it, but I wouldn't buy it right now here either. Okay. Hey, let's take a quick break.
All right, let's take a break. You're listening to Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, the River's Edge Radio Network.
Thanks so much for hanging out the River's Edge Radio. Right here, you got Jeremy Kaywood hanging with Brian Crawford for this little promo. December 2nd at the Funhouse of Mr. Smalls is my CD release show. You should come and check that out, December 2nd at the Funhouse of Mr. Smalls. We have Andre Costello, Jeremy Colbert, Tori Shinneman for some spoken words, some classical violin playings and stylings from Johanna Chastik. Special appearances by Adam Levine and The Way of Life. It's going to be so awesome. You should come on down to the Funhouse at Mr. Smalls on December 2nd for my CD release show. Thanks, guys. Keep listening to River's Edge Radio. I am a dog and I must obey to be fed and throw the ball, and I will chase it till the end. I keep running and panting.
Ugh, the holidays. I'm so sick of downtown and all of the traffic and the hustle and bustle. Can't find a parking space. It's awful.
Well, did you hear about the Millville Small Town Holiday Celebration?
Oh, I did. You mean the second annual Yuletide tour?
Yes, skip the mall, shop small.
I'd love to shop and explore the 25 stops on this year's tour.
Wow, I love Millville businesses. This is awesome. 25 shops, that's great. But what am I going to do with the kids? The kids are going to get bored of shopping all day.
I hear they're having a Christmas carnival at the Millville Community Center from 1 to 3 with Santa.
And Santa is coming to town at 6 o'clock to light the tree.
So what do I do in between with the kids?
Well, there will be horse-drawn sleigh rides for the family from 1:30 to 3 with live music and entertainment throughout the day.
Oh, that's great. The kids will be worn out.
We'll drop the kids off with the sitter and come relax and enjoy Millville's pub scene. We'll have drink specials and live music.
So come on out Saturday, December 3rd, 10 to 10, and explore all of the great businesses Millville has to offer. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter for more information at BAM15209.
Shop local.
Okay, welcome back to Funny Money on the River's Edge. Hey, there were a couple things I wanted to mention about the Gap that I just thought of. First of all, the stock has gone from $40.90 to $26.14 over the last 3 years. So you can see the decline, and that could be a trend, or it could be value. Depends on how you look at it. I also want to disclose that the shirt that I am currently wearing right now, I recently bought at The Gap.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, not Urban Outfitters or anywhere else. All right, but
Well, real quick, though, I do have a question from the audience. We have Paige, who asks if Gap sells anything but clothing. She says they really don't sell anything but clothing now, correct? And she says that she does know that Urban Outfitters sells a variety of things, but she wanted
that's
to know
correct.
about
Yeah, Gap is just clothing. Urban Outfitters, Gap started out by selling music also, but does not currently do so. And she's right. Yeah, Urban Outfitters sells a variety of different products, including housewares, the books, funny little gags, things like that. That are all supposed to kind of like fall into the hipster genre. I suppose,
Yeah.
So, Urban Outfitters, and my sources here, I've never owned this stock. My sources here are Wikipedia, as always, Forbes.com, and LehighValleyLive.com, an article called Lehigh alumnus Richard Hain Builds Urban Outfitters Empire by Brown and White Staff from March 7th, 2013. All right, so to start out with Urban, we'll have to talk about the current CEO.
Okay.
Born in Pennsylvania in 1947, Richard Hain came of age in the hippie era. Okay, and he was no exception to hippiedom, experimenting with marijuana and psychedelic drugs in high school. I guess you could say both.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, when was this again?
Okay, so he was born in 1947. So you can imagine, like, by the time he's 20, it's 1967.
Okay.
All right. He graduated from Lehigh with a degree in anthropology in 1969. That's also kind of a hippie degree. Upon stepping out of the classroom, Hain decided to spend 2 years working with Eskimos in Alaska as a volunteer. Mm-hmm. Continuing on his, like, sort of hippie-ish things to do. Okay. After returning from Alaska, Hain met up with his Lehigh roommate, Scott Belair, who was then a second-year grad student at Wharton. Wharton is University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business. which is, you know, perhaps the number one business school in the country, arguably Harvard Business School or Stanford, but Wharton is generally accepted as number one. Okay, and that's located in Philadelphia. So they went out drinking one night, and that night they came up with the idea of opening a retail store to fulfill a project that Belair was assigned for an entrepreneurship workshop that he was taking. Now, okay, the two decided on opening a store that especially targeted college students and sold inexpensive yet creative apparel and dorm room decor. Here's the other products thing that relied on the counterculture attitude of the era's youth. Okay, so right, yeah, decor. I remember I bought a rug at Urban Outfitters when I was in college, and it was awesome until someone spilled red wine all over it. With the idea fresh in their minds.
Now, why did you buy this rug, though? Was there a particular reason?
I don't know. It was just, well, because we had like a very. I wound up having to rent a place that was like way off campus.
Yeah.
I wanted to be off campus, but didn't want to be like that far off campus. But my roommate and I were so late that the only space we get was way off campus, and it was really nice though. So we decided to do it up, like make it nice. And
Yeah.
they had hardwood floors, and we just had to have a rug on it.
So that's a much better story than mine. I had a rug in college, and it was like a $20 Kmart rug, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it lasted forever, and it was a nice looking rug. But I had to get a rug because the place I moved into, the floor was like multiple colors because of these assholes just spilling shit and not cleaning anything
yeah.
for years and years. And
so
I
you
was
covered
afraid
it
to,
up.
I was afraid to walk on the
Yeah.
floor because I was afraid I would develop some sort of fungus. So I put the carpet down to try to protect myself from getting.
That reminds me of another story. Okay, in that same place that I had, we went out and bought like 2 swords, like from a yard
Nice.
sale, that were really cheap. But like we crossed them on the wall, you know.
Yes.
And then
Looks sophisticated.
yeah, look really, yeah. And then one night, you know, we had this one friend who's like total drunk, and I guess we left the door open, and we were out, and we came back, and there was blood smeared all over the wall, and one of the swords was missing. It was like this giant smear of blood, and then like on the floor in the next room, we see our friend passed out, like with like blood coming from his arm, and he's holding the sword.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was great. Okay, yeah. There were another couple good stories there too. All right, so, all right, this was the idea, the concept of Urban Outfitters. Very cool, and like somewhat retro. You know, I guess like by the 90s, it was somewhat retro. So, with the idea fresh in their minds, they opened up. Richard and Scott opened up the first store in Philadelphia near Penn, University of Pennsylvania, and they called it the Free People Store. They offered inexpensive secondhand clothing, Indian fabrics, scented candles, and jewelry in a 400 square foot decorated with beat up furniture. Okay, in a 400 square foot store decorated with beat up furniture and packing crates. And another thing that I read about these guys is, Richard Haynes anyway said that like he wanted to get places that were unique. Like each store wasn't going to be from some layout.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember the store in Georgetown was, it was some old, factory or something. It was clearly, you know, with exposed brick. It was clearly not a model design store like the Gap would have. And I thought that was cool.
But isn't there like a negative side to that? Because then you can't force consistency.
Yeah, it's more expensive too, right? But that was how they intended on doing it. You know, they were going to be, you know, this really gritty feeling store. Okay, so the store was a big success. And Belair, Scott Belair, who was his Lehigh roommate, got an A on the project for his workshop. But Belair then, when he graduated, went on to work at in Wall Street, while Hain stayed with the store. Hain then moved up to a larger headquarters near the university in 1976 and changed the store's name to Urban Outfitters and has led the company ever since. Hain opened a second store in Cambridge, Massachusetts, close to several colleges. That's like, Cambridge is right there. There's like Harvard, UMass, BC, BU. In 1980. And then in the 80s, they opened up several more stores because they were all very successful. And the success of the Urban Outfitters business continued in the 90s and led to the addition of 3 separate labels: A Coat, Free People, and Anthropology.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now, I know Anthropology. I don't know Free People.
Well, Free People is like, I don't know if you remember, the first store was called
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
the Free People store. But it's like, it's mostly like T-shirts and stuff.
Are they still around? Or
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, the most well-known is Anthropology, which is for women, all right, or young ladies, whatever. So it's, that had a tremendous success too, but we can question now whether those styles are beginning to wear out or not. All right, Urban Outfitters now has more than 400 locations in North America and Europe. Almost, the vast majority of them are within the United States. The PE is 17.69. They have no dividend. The ROIC is 17.17%. So I would say, PE and ROIC are about the same. That's not a net negative nor a positive. No net debt, that's a positive. Earnings expected to increase 15.7% this year. That's a positive. So it's an interesting dichotomy. We have the Gap, which has a lot of value, good return on invested capital, low PE, and a high dividend. But they also are expecting to, the sales to go down and the profit to go down. Whereas here we have ROIC almost the same as the PE, no dividend, but we're expecting profit to increase. So I kind of lean toward Urban Outfitters in this, between the two. But in the last quarter was bad for both of them. Both the sales and profit missed in Urban Outfitters. And it was really because Anthropology was weak.
Okay.
And Anthropology was weak, according to them, due to fashion trend changes. Fashion shifts is what they said.
That's like terrible if that's the reason, because isn't that what they're based off of, is fashion?
Right, I know. When I see their stuff, I'm obviously not a woman, but like when I see their Anthropology stuff, I think it looks pretty cool. And I think I like it on girls. That's just my take. But they said it was particularly weak in Europe.
Okay.
They don't have much of a presence in Europe, but it's some. They have like 20 stores in Europe, maybe 40 stores in Europe. But compared to like 250 in the United States, not that much. But if your stores are really flagging in Europe, that could be a bad sign, because Europe is often a leader in fashion.
Oh, okay.
Especially in France, how that goes. So,
which blows my mind, because they don't wear deodorant.
I know what's up with it. I know.
Yeah, it's like, how could I be leading in fashion? Because I'm thinking, like, there's nothing less fashionable than someone's body odor.
Yeah, I know. Right. I had this foreign exchange student in high school, and my mom would be like, "Oh, Etienne," she would be like, "Have you showered?" He would be like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "He showered once a month."
Wow.
I mean, that might
Yeah,
be an
yeah,
exaggeration.
but you know,
not very much.
people like to put down the United States. I'm sorry, we're much more civilized.
Well,
we
in that
shower
regard,
daily.
yeah, in the showering regard, yeah. You know,
But really, isn't everything else secondary?
yeah, guns and all that. I don't know. You know, I'm not here to say who's more civilized
I
or not.
am.
But I'm gonna say that Urban Outfitters, to me, even though they missed this quarter and they have this problem with fashion, to me it looks like a buy. Because I like the fact that they're still expecting earnings to go up, and the fact that the return on invested capital is not significantly different than the PE, and that I know the store, and I know that this guy, okay, has maintained stylistic flair from 1970 to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he's probably going to figure it out in 2016 too.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing. You can't tell necessarily like a stylistic trend, but you can tell when there's a person who recognizes those
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
And this is one guy who does. The stock over the last 3 years has gone from $39 to $34.31. It has a $4.57 billion market cap. I kind of like it. I might buy it. You know,
There you go.
it's good.
You don't buy
for-
any of these. You don't own any of these currently, correct?
I don't own either of them currently, right? But I might buy this one. And you know, going into Christmas season, holiday spending, I kind of like it. I bet they do well. I bet they do better than expected because now the expectations are low.
And do you think they're going to be hit as hard as Gap with the online presence?
No.
Why?
Because their online site is more active than the Gap's.
Okay.
So I think that they can make people remember the brand maybe a little. Like, people know the Gap brand, but do they necessarily go and Google it? Like, I don't know. You know, that when you want something specific, you kind of want the Gap is too bland. You know, that's
Okay.
what I'm saying. Like, Urban Outfitters has a thing.
Need to
They have
spice
a
it up.
niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I think that it would be a good buy. That's part of the reason.
You said that this guy used to be like somewhat of a hippie, correct? He
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why. Maybe he
Yeah, he
has a
can
little
see it.
little creative.
Yeah, creative juices are
Yeah.
flowing. Yeah. Could be. Anyway, thanks for listening tonight. Thanks for listening. We're all out of funny money. Thanks to my producer, Brian.
I will say both of these places are open on Thanksgiving, so
Okay. Yeah.
you know, my
Yeah, feel free.
no, we're on opposite ends of this one. All right.
All right. Good night.
Got to get a grip.